Hello, hello. Back again for another great episode of the Grown and Greek podcast. Of course, my name is DJ Chocolate. Thank you so much for joining me and super excited for this conversation because I know that it's going to help shed some light to the community. And so I cannot wait to dive in. But before we get started, definitely want to encourage you. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Of course, like, share, comment on all podcast platforms. And please follow us on social media, on all social media platforms at Grown and Greek Podcast, and watch episodes on YouTube. So let me introduce today's guest. He's an HBCU graduate of Miles College with a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, security information assurance. After serving as general manager for two of the hottest clubs, lounges in Birmingham, Alabama, his business acumen has expanded internationally to the continent of Africa, where he and his family have started a couple of businesses. And while in the U.S., currently he works for Delta Airlines. And I know that probably comes in handy with all the travel that you have to do. He's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and just a great guy. Please welcome to the Grown and Greek podcast, Amartey Amamu. Did I say that right?
You got it perfectly right.
Ooh.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And
Yes,
it's a
thank you
pleasure
for
to be
being
here.
here. Thank you for being here. And I'm so elated to talk to you. I've just been, on a high since finding out that you are doing, kind of the American Black American dream, and that's being, international. So you are here in the States, you have citizenship in the motherland, and we definitely got to dive into that. But I want to go back to where it all started. Like you played football in high school. And
Soccer, but the real football.
yeah, the real
Yeah.
football. Yeah, the real football,
Football. Yeah.
football. And so, sports, we have that in common, but sports took you to playing at the university level, and then you ended up at Miles College at an HBCU. So let's dive in and talk about that part of your journey, your early years.
So, having a Ghanaian father, that was the only sport that we really played. Soccer was it, football was it. We grew up on it. We loved it. It was a way of life. Lots of travel. I played, literally since I was probably 3, 4 years old, kicking the ball around the house, and then moving into, competitive all the way through travel teams, traveling all over the nation, some places all over the world to play. And then I got a scholarship to go to play at Birmingham Southern, actually, um, in 2002 when I started. It was a blessing. It was great. They were a D1 school at that point, and it was just great to play at a high competitive level. Then once I left Southern and started to work on. I didn't finish at Southern. I started to work actually in the nightclub industry then. Worked at a space called Amani Raha, which was owned by Terrell Owens back in about 2005,
Mm-hmm.
which was an amazing, beautiful opportunity. And things have just kind of moved from there. It's been great. I worked at a couple different places, and then I ended up at Platinum of Birmingham, which of course is, we all know about the PLB. It's a large,
Yeah.
large, huge nightclub, high grossing. It was great. It was great opportunities.
So let me ask you this: as far as going back to playing soccer.
Sure, sure.
Let's use the American
Yeah,
terminology.
right.
How was that, representing, being a Ghanaian, of Ghanaian, ancestry, and bringing the culture and everything, to the campus of Birmingham Southern, which is in the South,
Hmm.
typically, all of the history and stuff that comes with, um, Black people and African American Black people, in the South. How was that, being on campus like that in international and all, playing soccer?
Yeah, it was great. It was an interesting experience. Birmingham Southern was a lightly diverse school.
Hmm.
It was definitely a predominantly white institution. And we had a very small African American presence there, but we were very close knit in that. And being having that a heritage really, honestly, it opened doors for me that I think that other people didn't really have the opportunity to. I think that I was accepted by an ex. Excuse me, it's a little warm in here right now. uh, um,
It's the lights. It's the
it's the
lights.
light, it's the lights and the cameras all around. Um, so having that really kind of really opened doors for me that I feel I was accepted on a level that I think people were more interested in learning just about me and who I was and my heritage and my family, um, and um, and that gave me an opportunity to kind of infiltrate both sides of the community. Not necessarily say both sides like it was split, but I think that there's being in the South and there is opportunity for division.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I was able to kind of bridge that gap just on with the level of with my heritage. Yeah.
Now, has it been important for you to, continue to like foster and nurture your Ghanaian roots and stuff in the United States? And how do you keep up with that? Like, how do you serve that part of your culture?
One thing is that our family actually owns a store here. We try to bring authentic Ghanaian goods here, and that's a part of making sure that we are spreading that heritage to anybody that wants it, giving them an opportunity. Because I mean, not only do they get an opportunity to come in and get some cool pieces, but they get to learn like where it's made, who makes it, how it's done, what the symbols on it mean. All of those things kind of are immersed into the experience of buying, not just buying a piece of clothing that looks dope, but like what it actually means.
Right.
Um, and then we also have a Ghanaian Association, which we are starting to ramp back up. Ever since the dreaded C word COVID came, we stopped coming together as often. But there's a community of Ghanaians here in Birmingham that get together and talk just about just what it is. We have a chat on WhatsApp that's going off all the time. It's like one of those WhatsApp chats that you're like, oh man, I love you guys, but y'all are talking way too much. But just having an opportunity to connect with them. There's always, we celebrate each other's birthdays, and one of our members, his mother passed, and we took
Mm,
up a collection so that we can,
mm,
just send money to him. Just here's something, buy yourself some food,
mm.
make life a little easier on yourself. And then lastly, really, my mother and father have started like a Ghanaian committee that where
Mm.
we take people on a yearly basis to Ghana.
I'm
Um,
going.
yeah, well, come on,
I'm going.
let's go.
I'm gonna go.
Uh, so we've done that, and that's a great opportunity. They're actually going in about a month from now. They're leaving to go to Ghana, and it's a great opportunity just to kind of to share the country with people. And we have that committee has also worked with the Sister City Committee of Birmingham, Commission of Birmingham to build a library in Winneba,
Wow.
library and a community center. It's a two-level building that we've been working on for some years now. My
Wow.
mother went there a couple of years ago and she's a teacher, been a teacher at heart. She's retired, but she's still a teacher. And
Mm.
the first thing she walked around and she looked at the school and she goes, "Where's the library? Where are the books?" And they were like, "What are we talking about?" So she's like, "That's going to be our goal." And so we ended
Wow.
up, working and gathering and doing fundraising to get money together to build this library out there. And now we're sending books, and
Mm.
it's a really great project, great opportunity.
So your experience, you had the PWI experience at Birmingham Southern, and then you
Hmm.
went to Miles, which is an
Yes.
HBCU.
Hmm.
Um, how was the transition, and how important were I guess the differences, to you, I
Mm.
guess, that you were able to be a part of, with the whole, the difference in the dynamic. And then, what are some of the advantages being, of Ghanaian descent that you experienced at an HBCU at Miles that you didn't maybe have the opportunity to experience at Birmingham Southern?
So I
That may
loved
be a loaded
Miles.
question, but
No, it's okay. I loved Miles College, dear old Miles. It
mhm.
really, it holds a special place in my heart. My parents both, I went to school there. I actually, my parents met at Miles.
Oh
So
wow.
Miles is the reason that the reason I'm here. Um, and, and so, you know, it was it was great being, and my father he's a pediatrician, he's a doctor now, and he was into science back then when he was in school. And he used to, and I was this one building that I would take most of my classes in because I was in the sciences too, in computer science.
Mhm.
And just having conversations with him and realizing that, like, not only did he take classes in the same classrooms that I was taking classes in, but like he was a janitor. Like, that was how he paid for
Mm,
and made it through school, was is he had a work study as a janitor. So he was like cleaning the bathrooms and like taking care of the building that like was housing my major.
wow.
It was an amazing, like, just getting an opportunity. Like, after that conversation, I caught myself like walking around and like really feeling the nostalgia of having that HBCU experience, and then just being around us, realistically, like being around black folks and seeing black folks. And that was one thing that drew me to Ghana, was seeing us run it, and us being there. And it's just, it was an amazing experience. Not to take anything away, I think that the PWI experience was good for me because it helped me really see the other side of the spectrum. But being black around black folks is just the best thing in the world.
So you think it's possible,
I think
you
it's
know,
possible for what, though?
as far as us having a space to
Mm,
run things, and
yes.
it not be a fantasy that
Yeah.
only exists in
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that's why, HBCUs are so important to the black community. It's
Mhm.
not just because they're historically black and they've always been black, and it's because of the fact that we look at all of these other communities of people. You have Asian people, and they go to Asian grocery stores. They buy
Mhm.
from Asian folks. You have Hispanic people. They go to Hispanic grocery stores. They go to Hispanic car lots, and they buy their vehicles there. And I think that with us as black people, we need to. It's not only a way of keeping the black dollar within our community, but I also think it's a great way for us to, as a black community, tailor and what is being taught to our children.
Mm.
I got an experience at an HBCU that I don't think that there's no way that I would have learned at a PWI. No
Mm.
way. It just makes sense. I'm seeing having black teachers that were the ones that were teaching me about what it was. And they weren't teaching me about what it was to be black, but they were teaching me about the things that I felt like I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that from that perspective, it's it's a rich opportunity.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a rich
That's,
opportunity that you're saying you don't get anywhere
hmm
else, and it's super important. So let's dive in. You and I met in the lifestyle of entertainment.
right.
um, but what is interesting to me about that part of your experience is that you were around some of the best businessmen that you could ever learn from. One being, the owner of the PLB, is it's known as Platinum of Birmingham, and then Terrell Owens with Amani Raha. And to this day, people still talk about Amani Raha and the experience. Not only was it, an entertainment mecca, but the culture that it brought and the opportunity for expression and for you to be in a place that you could be your authentic black self and it was okay. But specifically, what I want you to, I guess, answer the question: what business uh, education did you get from your time, being in that lifestyle
Yeah.
that, you can talk about that has helped you, to this day?
So, the first one that I worked in was Amani Raha. It was,
Hmm.
it's owned by Terrell Owens, by T.O., and his cousin Antonio Minifield, the one of the most influential people besides my parents in my life was Antonio. He's an amazing person.
Wow.
And I think about him every single day. It's crazy.
Hmm.
He was so laid back, but there was structure. And a lot of times people don't. It's either there's a very direct line, like you can't be laid back, you've got to be structured, or you're going to be laid back and there's no structure. And I
Hmm.
think that he really, just that experience kind of showed me that you can be relaxed, and you can be in the right space when it comes to making sure that you're making money, making sure that you're making right and just business decisions. But you can also, bend the rules a little bit in order to make sure that the people that are trying to utilize your space and utilize your services can like get in. We we used to wake up in the mornings after a long night at the club and go and go to the club and not speak, right? We get buckets of bleach because Amani was you remember the place was a white
Hmm.
club with the red walls, and we
Hmm.
had these white leather couches, and everybody wore their nice new clothing there. But every time they sat on the all of the jeans would turn the couches blue, and we would have to bleach everything down. So that really we would get in there in the mornings and like get bleach water and just wipe all the surfaces down, get them back clean. And that was our time of like zen, of peace. No speaking, no business, none of that stuff. Just an opportunity to prepare your space, but also just of reflection. That gave me an opportunity to really kind of really center myself. Um, it can, the club industry, as you know, it can be very wild and crazy, and it can be very mentally taxing. But getting an opportunity to actually, because I mean, you get anxiety when you walk into these places because you think about all the things that need to be done. Whereas with that, like that gave me an opportunity to really do, to zen my space when it came to the club. And I think that translated and moved itself into how we handle it on a night to night basis. Amani was a great place because it was, like you said, it was an opportunity for us as Black people to be our most authentic Black selves. But it
Hmm.
also, there was a calmness that came with that building. And I think that also came with how Antonio and ran the place. Um, so as far as business goes, I think it gave me an opportunity to kind of know that I can open up doors for people and still have structure. Sometimes
Hmm.
people are like, listen, I'm not going to do this because it just doesn't work for our business structure. But I'm like, you know what? Come on in here. Let's try it out and let's figure it out and see what we can go from there. But, now when it works from Platinum was a business place. T is a businessman. Mr. Lee is a businessman.
Yes, sir.
They're business people. They were, he's a guy that like you'd have a VIP walk in and he's like, listen, they're VIPs, they got the cash. So they need to pay to get into VIP. Whereas at Amani, it was like, hey, listen, come on in, buddy. We'll take you in. Don't worry about that. We'll figure out how to make it on the back end. T is like, listen, they're making the cash, we're gonna bring them in. And that structure that T put in place, um, is it's great for the bottom line, but it's also great for setting the expectations of people when they walk into the door. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have fun, but you also are going to you have to pay for the fun that you're having.
Hmm.
And we are running a business. This is a business, so those two are kind of contrasting in a certain aspect, but those two aspects really kind of worked. They really worked.
And speaking of T, he is a real estate genius too.
Yes. Yeah.
Buying up,
Lots of forethought.
yeah, buying up the block before that was a thing,
Hmm.
and something that encouraged in our community. But um, talk about that. Like, what was that like?
Hmm.
Learning from that kind of tutelage and being under his wing, because he's really approachable, but like you said, he's definitely a very structured, just brilliant guy.
Yeah,
Brilliant guy.
yeah, yeah. Really is, really is. T. Like you said, he bought up the block. Like there were businesses across the street that, I remember when I came there, there was like a barber shop across the street. There was a car wash that was kind of over to the right hand side, that he didn't own. But T always, he was always looking at that vision of what Birmingham was doing next.
Hmm.
Birmingham, at one point, they were moving. Yeah, it started moving east from downtown Birmingham, and then there's like the train tracks, and there's kind of an industrial area, Avondale, but everything kind of stops right there. And then moving north up into Highlands. I'm sorry, moving south into Highlands, and then moving north was those Birmingham had kind of reached its potential that direction. He saw that
Hmm.
the westward move for Birmingham is pretty much the next thing, and I believe that Birmingham is really going to be moving that direction. So what he did is he was like, listen, every piece of real estate around me that I can purchase, I'm going to get it. I'm gonna make it great. And he made all of them usable.
That's
Made all of it
crazy.
usable. Yeah, he was very, very business minded. Him and Mr. Lee were they just knew what they're doing.
Hmm.
Um, Great people, really are, really are.
So speaking of that, you've definitely adopted some of those principles, because
Hmm.
now you are doing the same thing
Hmm.
internationally.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to tell me from start to all the questions that I got till we get to,
Yeah.
to the
To the,
end
cool, cool.
of the conversation. How did that begin,
It really
Amartey? Like,
came from.
yeah, where did you get the idea, and then what steps did you take?
So it really came from, going there as a kid,
Okay.
going there as a child. I always, we went there, every single year. My dad made sure that we went to Ghana, and we would take things with us, but there was always things that like I wanted when I was there that I just couldn't get.
Mm,
Um, and or that were in sparse availability. One of the things that I one of the ideas was that I actually started a sweets shop, like a snow cone shop. Um, Sweets in the cold version, as far as like yogurts and ice creams and stuff are pretty prominent in Ghana, but I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat them all.
most
So
of us are.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I was like, man, we should bring something that, we could, it's hot there year round. It averages between, 70 something and 90 something all year round. It really doesn't get
Wow.
cold there.
Wow.
I told my mom one day, I was like, what, Mom, I think I'm gonna open up a snow cone shop there, because I think that would, and the overhead is low. It's easy to make, and then it's expandable. You can do it at birthday parties. You can do it at, graduations, weddings, naming ceremonies. Ghanaians love naming ceremonies. So, the idea kind of grew there. And then I was thinking to myself, well, what else do they have over there? What else is there a need for? The idea really sprung from my first idea. One of my first ideas was, every time you went into a place to go and get a cold drink, they would serve you a can, and it was cold, but the ambient temperature over there is so warm. By the time you finish pouring your drink up, it would be hot. If, say, you got a can of Coke, so then you'd ask for ice, and the ice would be like, they give you like 3 cubes, 4 cubes of ice in a cup, and that was it.
What?
And I'm like, yo, why don't I can I just get like a big cup of ice? And because here they scoop up a big old cup of ice, and you
Mm-hmm.
just you throw
Mm-hmm.
it half of it out. Um, and but you get a nice cold drink. And so I asked my dad about it, and I was like, why is it that we don't get a bunch of ice in our drinks? And he said, well, number one, it's because power shedding.
Mm.
When we were younger, especially now, and it's now happening now. Also, there's not enough power to go around. So there'll be times where, like, your bill is paid, you've got all your bills paid up, and then your lights will go off, and they might be off for 8 hours, they might be off for an hour, it might be off for 2 days. Um, And so that made it to where the way that you stored food, the way that you, um, mainly the way that you stored food changed. They used a lot of dried fish
Mm,
and things like that, and or dried shrimp, dried meats and they rehydrate them in stews. Um, so, and that also translates into the fact that you can't keep ice if you don't have power.
right.
Ice just melts. So. Um, it became and this is just my assumption at least. It became a part of the community where they just didn't use it all the time. You don't get a bucket of ice and dunk 6 beers and then take it out to people in the club. You just give them beers and you put it into a little rack and keep on moving. So we started to kind of and this is a long story, but
No, 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 no. It's
we
this is so interesting and valuable. So
yeah,
please continue.
yeah. So, I just was like, you know what? I'm going to start selling ice to people. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a big ice machine. I was at the club and I was scooping ice out of, one of the big ice makers that we have. This is when I was at Platinum. I was scooping ice out of that thing and dumping it into buckets, and we were taking it out to go and put it in wells. And I was like, we could buy some of these and just take them over to Africa. So, that was
Wow.
the plan. Just buy a couple of them, take them over there, and then start to really, and just start selling to people. And then I started going to different businesses
Mm,
when at the times that I was there and just saying, hey, listen, how do you make your ice? Like, where do you go? And they were certain places, like there's one prominent hotel there that they get their ice from, they pour it into molds and they freeze it overnight. That's why you only get a little bit of ice.
wow.
So I was like, goodness gracious, like, you don't have an ice machine? He's like, no, we don't have an ice machine. And then, another club that I was going to, a beach club that I was going to, I saw these guys walking in, and they were carrying bags of ice. And I was like, where do y'all get y'all's ice from? He said, oh, we get it from Melcom. Melcom is like the Ghanaian equivalent of Walmart.
Mm.
So imagine, large nightclub like going and paying retail for their bags of ice. And it's just because, so we were just going to dive into that market. And then I think that kind of spurred all of the different, businesses that we were looking into doing.
So far, how many businesses do you have?
So
Is
as
that,
of right
I guess,
now, we
is
have
the correct way to ask that
right.
question?
As of right now, we have two
Okay.
going right now. We have a third one that we are that we are developing, and that it really that one is the ice. That one is we're waiting on the machines to come in from China now. So that one's the last one that we're doing. But we have pressure washing, which is
Wow.
yeah, pressure washing. It's a wide open market. No one does it in Ghana right
Hmm.
now. Um, you go to washing bays and they have like
Like in the whole country, no one does.
I've seen probably about maybe two or
Wow.
three companies. No one has that I've seen has had a commercial, like heavy duty commercial pressure washer there where
Hmm.
they like clean buildings. And I've seen a couple people advertise they clean your compounds, but the one company that I saw doing it, like they were taking, the buffers that your janitors used to use to buff your floors in
Yes,
your high
yes,
school, they were
yes.
taking that, like spraying water and bleach on the ground and like buffing, trying to clean it that way, scrubbing it. Like that was how they were cleaning the stuff. There was the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial last time I went in February.
Hmm.
They were cleaning the water feature in there, and they had men in the water feature that drained the water down, and they had people in there with buckets and soap, like scrubbing the tiles on the water feature. And I
Oh
was looking around
man.
like, man, if I had my washer here right now, we could be, this would be a project, that we could take over and we could knock it out in 2 or 3 in 2 days.
Hmm.
So now that we've got the washer there and we are working on contracts with just hotels and some apartment complexes, some nightclubs and stuff like that. So,
So what's the process like if you were interested in, well, first of all, visiting and everything, but what's the process, especially if you are interested in starting a business,
mm,
because there there's a whole movement, for lack of a better
hmm
word, that's happening to go back home, go back to Africa,
hmm
and people are not necessarily aware of some of the resources and things like
hmm
that and where to start. So where would you advise, what would you advise?
one of the things about Ghanaians is they are literally the nicest and most helpful people in the world. Everybody, if anybody's ever met a Ghanaian or know a Ghanaian, that is a part of um, their circle, or that's someone that you work with, someone that a friend of a friend, like they're like your family. And I would say your best thing is to connect with them. You know,
Mhm.
the Ghanaian government is they opening the business as an American or as a foreigner, they want a certain amount of capital for you to bring. I forgot the number because I dispelled it from my mind once I heard it. I want to say it's something like $500,000 worth of
Mm,
capital brought onto the continent or into the country. But to start a business as a foreigner. But if you are an American, I mean, if you're a Ghanaian, it's free.
mhm,
Um, and so, that was so I would say if you're looking at starting a business in Ghana, connect with someone that you know that has some type of ancestry or some type of roots there, and they will be more than happy to kind of push you in the right direction. They're very honest and trusting and kind people. And you don't have to worry about them trying to cheat you out of your money. You just let them know what you want, and they'll be there to help you. As far as the technical side of it, you get like a tax ID number, you get like a business license. All of that processes are actually pretty simple. They're not crazy, hard to do. And then once you do it, you start working.
mm,
It's actually very simple, very, very simple. The reason that you do tax IDs and stuff so that you can get bank accounts and you can
mhm.
start moving money in the right direction to get your business flowing. So.
So the process is similar to how it is in the States.
It is. It's just a
Okay.
lot less paperwork.
Oh, okay.
You fill out one um, tax identification number form. It's called a 10, and you submit that, and they give you your paperwork. And it was fairly inexpensive. I don't remember how much it was, but I can tell you it was probably under $50, $30 probably to get
Oh,
all of the paperwork and all of that done. So for Ghanaians, I think that. Um, the entire process, I think that it is free, but I had one of my friends do all of the work, so I was doing things
okay.
like sending them money and saying, "Hey, listen, you need gas and time and effort to do this." So it's very cheap, but it was good.
So what does the process look like for someone um just going for a visit, because
Mm-hmm.
there's Burkina Faso is in the news constantly
Mm-hmm.
now.
Troy,
Ghana,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and so there's a lot of excitement, it seems, with people being interested in going to Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say about that process, and how would you encourage people to look into it, and what's the simplest way to get there? I know you mentioned your parents do a
Mm-hmm.
trip, but what's the simplest way, and then what countries should people really be looking at to
Right.
go visit?
So as far as getting into Ghana, realistically, you need a visa, an entry visa. I think that the entry visa, they just changed the process recently. We usually get our visas through the consulate in
Mm,
Arkansas, but now they're pushing all of the visa applications through the embassy in DC. So getting onto the Ghanaian embassy in DC's website, filling out the visa application, and then you send in your payments. The application process is a little different
mhm,
because you have to send in your passport, your physical passport, the application, and then you put, like your check in there, and then you have to put in your like a return envelope with that's already self addressed and stamped. So what you'll do is you put it all in there. They will receive your application, put your visa into your physical passport, and then stick it into the envelope that you send to them and pop it in the mail, and it'll come back to you.
mm,
That process it's just weird sending off your passport because I didn't, a lot of people don't like to separate themselves from it.
right, right.
But and then they are not responsive.
Mm,
But you just have to trust that it's coming back because it does. They always do come back, but it's just, you'll call and they won't pick up the phone. you know, which which is we're just not used to in the United States. Like we
Right.
hear you pick up the phone, you're answering emails, but they're just kind of like, don't worry, these things. And that's one thing my dad always says. These things take time, and
Mm,
that's one thing you'll learn in Ghana is patience. If you don't learn anything else in Ghana, you'll learn to be patient.
hmm
So, but that part of the process, once you get a visa, you'll need a yellow fever. The minimal when it comes to the health side of things is you need a yellow fever vaccination. In Birmingham, you can call the International Travel Clinic at UAB, and they'll set up a consultation for you, and then do a shot for you, a yellow fever shot. When I think the last time I did it, it was $240 after the
mm,
consultation and the shot. But the shot is a lifetime shot. You never have to do it again. I just lost. I did it as a kid, and then I lost. And then it was after it was supposed to be every 10 years. You have to get a new shot, and then recently the World Health Organization made the yellow fever vaccination a lifetime shot. But before they did that, I lost my card, so I had to go and get
oh
another one.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh
So, but
wow.
I think I've had three yellow fever shots in my lifetime, but never had any adverse, things come from it. So yellow fever shot visa, the visa application, going back to that just for a quick second, is a little weird. You have to have like a letter of invitation. You have to
Mm,
have the name of the people that you're going to be there with. It's all lined out, all outlined in the application. And a lot of places like Airbnbs and hotels can provide you with like your letter of invitation and contact information to put onto your visa. Just got to contact the hotel or the Airbnb and let them know that you're sending in information for your visa, and they'll get you all of that stuff. Very helpful. And then a ticket, you know,
mm.
a ticket, preferably on Delta Airlines so I can stay gainfully employed. Um, and and I mean, you get over there, and it is you live the life, you live the experience of
Hmm.
being there. It's really a great country, and then it like anywhere else, it has its downsides, but it's a great place.
My first time, speaking of Delta Airlines, my first time flying over 10 hours,
Hmm.
over 5 hours, let me say that,
Hmm.
was on Delta, and I flew first class and
Where'd you go?
to Korea.
Oh,
So I lived there for about a year, but I'll tell you about that another day. But it was the to be baptized, flying internationally and flying first class was like, man,
how long
this
ago was this?
this has been years ago.
Okay.
But the experience of that you can't even describe, like that's the way to fly. If you can, that's the way that's the way to fly. No doubt. And then to fly there, and then you know that you're going to descend on the motherland. Oh my goodness! So
Yeah.
that's the experience I definitely want when I go there. But I was going to ask you, too, what you've spoken about, just how beautiful it is in Ghana, and the experience is just undescribable. But what would you say for because you are going to be living there, you've moved your family there. um what is why what would you say to folks who are considering doing the same thing?
Um, be prepared to be patient. I talked about that before. Um,
Okay.
being patient, being we are in a unique situation with having a home there already.
Hmm.
It makes the idea, the transition much easier. If you're looking to develop businesses in Ghana, and move there for that particular reason. The one thing that I will tell you is you don't, not saying that people aren't trustworthy, but don't entrust the business to anyone at all. Be there on the ground, be there to move, make the dial, turn the dials the right direction, and do all of the things that you want to hand firsthand. I think
Mhm.
that that is probably one of the biggest things. You need to be there.
Mhm.
Um, and then with us, why? Our why was is kind of piggybacks off of the need to be there. I didn't really have the opportunity to go there and spend any long amounts of periods of time there. And I had these great ideas in my head that were swirling around that I couldn't sleep at times. Like, gosh, I just wish I could do this. And I went and had a conversation with my wife, and we were like, hey, listen, the opportunity for her to go over there and be the champion for our businesses, came up, and I was just like, well, you should go and do this. There's it honestly, the cost of living there is low, um, depending on the lifestyle that you live. I think that's with anywhere that you go.
Mhm.
You can eat cheap there, you can hang out for cheap there, you can live for cheap there, but you can also spend, $3,000 or $4,000 a month on a nice place, and eat at nice restaurants, and spend, 60 or 70 to $100 a night on dinner. You can, just like anywhere that you go, but we can split I can live here and travel back and forth, of course, with my abilities with Delta Airlines. And my wife, has the opportunity to run in these businesses over there, and the incomes just work. She can make Ghana CDs there. I'll make dollars here, and we just it just worked for us. We don't pay. We're blessed because we don't have a mortgage there or here. So
Wow.
we have the opportunity to we have cars here, we have a car there, so we're kind of set up in both places. So it was a kind of a no-brainer for us. Like, go over there, let's get these things going, let's start the move, and then start to expand and upscale those businesses there, and then and I'll keep the money come in over here, and get the opportunity to fly over there as much as I can. So.
Well, with what's going on with the current climate and stuff that we're living in, and the unpredictability of what's
Mm,
possible in the future.
mhm,
What do you see as being a feasible future for Black folks?
mhm.
Is it the migration back to Africa? I mean, is it being um, dual citizens? I mean, what,
Mhm.
what do you see happening,
You
and,
know,
and, and what do you think that would what do you think that would make our community and our culture stronger? and
right.
and then we'll definitely dive into the D9 and what that
Mhm.
looks like too.
Yeah, I think that, with the current climate of what's going on, I think that there's a sense of a need for nationalism.
Yeah.
I think that's what, this administration and a lot of the followers are trying to pushing for. Like, I can honestly say that I'm not against the idea. I think that the idea is noble, and there are other countries like Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore, who is like, he's like, why are we importing our tomatoes? Like, why aren't we growing them ourselves?
Hmm.
Um, we need to be supporting our own community. The former president of Ghana, not Mahama, that's the new president. I'm sorry. The former president of Ghana came in and had a conversation with the leader of France, and was like, "We appreciate you all, but we
Hmm.
need to be able to define our own future."
Hmm.
And so, I think that this administration, is going about it a bit backwards. And I think that's why Traore is, and Burkina Faso is celebrated so much, because they're really investing in their people. Um, Now, when it comes to the uncertainty of the future for us, I think that there is, as Black folks, the worst, they always tell us, to go back home. You see these racist folks are like, go home, go back to Africa and all those other things. And they don't understand, like, the if African Americans left in masses from the United States, it would bankrupt our economy
Mm-hmm.
because black folks spend the most money.
That's right.
We do. I mean, and I don't love to say that out loud because we'll spend our last.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that if we took our dollar and our spending power and our ideas to Africa as a continent, I think that it would flourish. People always talk about the idea of Wakanda, like what if that
Right.
really existed? And I think that if we had the idea and the togetherness to go and say, hey, listen, well, you know what? I've got these ideas, not just like a pressure washing business or snow cones, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to go to Ghana and I'm going to go to Burkina Faso. I'm going to go to Cote d'Ivoire. I'm going to go to Morocco or wherever. I'm going to take my ideas and I'm going to employ my work ethic over there. It would be a huge asset to not only the country, but just to us as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We we sit in a very um, good place with the fact that there are so many African nations that are willing to open their arms and open their borders to us openly. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, as Americans, but number mainly as Black Americans, they're saying, "Hey, listen, come back home." And
Mm-hmm.
so we can really live the best of both worlds. We can go over there and make some money, or and live um, and grow there, and we can also have access to the United States as we needed it. So I think that we, really playing both sides of that really
So
is
there's an advantage.
yeah,
There's
there's an advantage. Yeah,
definitely
there's
an
definitely an
advantage.
advantage. Yeah, they
So
want us to come here. They want
yeah,
us to come home.
how would you break down like Western ideology and like what's the thing that would I guess break that stigma for folks not to fear um, going back or pursuing that an opportunity like that.
Media really,
Oh wow.
um, and I think that the rise in social media awareness to what Africa really looks like. I mean, when we growing up,
Mhm.
before social media ever existed, the only thing that we knew of were those naked kids where 6 cents a day would save their life, could feed a kid in need, and that was the only images of Africa that we had. Um, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity through my family and my father to travel there and actually see like what it was, like what Ghana and what Africa really looked like. And I would get home and people would ask me like, so, were there like lions like running around and giraffes and zebras? I was like, I live in the city. Like we have a paved road in front of our house and a Starbucks like 3 blocks off the road. Like we did not then, not Starbucks then, but we have a Pinkberry around the corner from my house.
Hmm.
So the now that there are influencers, now that there are prominent African Americans that are going there. I mean, like Ben Crump just went to Ghana, just I want to say a week or two ago, was just there. We have people like Black Starline Festival. What is his name? Chance the Rapper. He
Hmm.
does a uh, festival in December that brings all types of people. Dave Chappelle was there one year, and I mean, just all of these different celebrities come out there. But not only on top of that, but just the going back to it, the influencers that are going out and saying this isn't the Maldives. Like they'll show a picture of this beautiful landscape, and they're like, this isn't the Maldives. This is Tanzania. This is Zanzibar. This is Ghana. Like this is Kenya. Like this is what it looks like to go there. That visual, I think, will give us, because I mean, we're scared to, I would be, if that was the only image that I have was, poverty
Hmm.
and just terrible living conditions and sick kids everywhere, like I wouldn't want to go there either. But there's the opportunity for us to really see and dig into like what home really looks like for us.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the best way for us to break that stigma is for more people to visit and to document their experiences there and giving those of us who have never, or those of them who have never been there, a true vision or true understanding of what it really is to live there.
And as a D9, we are international organizations
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm.
And so I know that you've probably connected with some of your brothers there, but how important, is it to not only do the work here, but have, representation and stuff on the ground, and, you know, um, strengthening those ties with the African continent,
Hmm.
through Divine Nine relations.
Yeah. You know, and that divine non-relations is, we, because there's so many of us here,
Hmm.
in the United States. It's kind of like, kind of alphas kicking with the alphas. I mean, we intermingle a little bit, but you see the alphas and they're working with the alphas. You see the kappas, they're working with the kappas. The deltas are working with the deltas. But then when you cross that pond and you get over to Africa, like they see my bracelet, they see my A5A,
Hmm.
and they're like, all of that goes out. We are
Wow.
D9 members that it's one community.
Wow.
And they see it and they work very well and closely together. They do events together. They are very, it's like an expat community, but being a part of the D9 expat community, like it's a whole different ball game. You really, really get an opportunity. I mean, they're already bringing you in, just being a Black American,
Yeah.
over there, bringing you in with open arms. But, you kind of know that you'll have similar experiences and similar backgrounds being a part of the D9. So all of that goes out the window. All of it goes out the window. We're, we're just all D9 family. Everybody is one unit there.
So do they call each other there like we do here? You A506 over there, and
Oh, like
it's
if
it's all love.
it's all love. It's all love. I'm
Okay.
telling you, they, over here, there's love too, but there's always that, like, hey, listen, you're not me,
Yeah.
but
Right.
now over there, it's like we are us, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Well, I
That's it.
cannot wait to get off the plane and be somewhere and just ski wee real loud and just see who answers back. I
Right.
cannot wait for that. If I can ski wee.
If you,
It's been a long time. It's been a
yeah,
long time, but it's an art to it now. It's an art
there
to
is an art to it. They're right.
it. So what's next? I know you got your businesses, that you're starting. You're working on the ice, business, but
Mhm.
what's next? And then, when's the next trip? If people were interested, how can they connect, and
Mhm.
all of that?
So, what's next for me is, you know, firstly, once we get the family over there and completely and totally settled, we're
So you're
looking
relocating. Period. You're
like,
you're relocating.
well,
Period.
we are going to be a bi-continental family. My
Okay.
wife and kids are going to be living there, but
Okay.
they'll be coming back probably every 2 months or so, just whenever they get an opportunity. I will be living here and I'll be traveling there as much as I can, but we'll still keep our houses in both places, trying to make sure that we just keep a foothold in both areas.
Hmm.
And realistically, scaling our businesses is super important. The snow cone business is is doing okay, and I think with that type of business is all about location.
Hmm.
So making sure that we scale those businesses in order to expand into different areas of Accra to do that. Um, we are also, I'm looking into doing some type of, not necessarily real estate. It's really more so developing housing income, like low income housing for average Ghanaians. We have so many people that are going over there right now that are building these beautiful, nice, huge skyrise apartments that have pools on the top and workout facilities and coffee shops in the bottom, and I mean, they're just really nice. But the average Ghanaian just doesn't. The only thing they can do for that building is work there.
Hmm.
And I would, I'm looking into some opportunities for affordable housing using storage containers, really shipping containers,
Oh
converting
wow.
shipping
Okay.
containers
Yeah.
into affordable housing, so the Ghanaians can have. Because I mean, some certain places, they don't have great water. They don't have great living facilities, and I want to be able to for these Ghanaians to have an understanding of they can live in a good, nice place instead of. And I'm not saying they're living in mud huts, but it just gives you a nicer, cleaner, more organized space to live in, and doing it at a price point that the average Ghanaian can afford.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, listen. If you want to go there and live in a nice, big, wonderful, they have the Lego buildings, the signature building. There's so many just really, really nice, very well put together real estate out there, but it's just out of their price range. I want to try to make something, make my impact on that side of the spectrum.
Okay. That's dope. So I got to get with your parental unit so I can
Hmm.
make my journey there.
Yeah.
What are the top three cities that people should visit that you would recommend they visit if they're going to go to Ghana?
Okay. Number one, Accra. Accra is, the capital. It's where you land. It's where all the fun is. Kumasi is a really fun city. It's a little north of Accra. It's a bit of a. You can take a plane there. I want to say the plane ride is about 45 minutes and probably $120. It's not expensive. Um, and it's like a smaller Accra. It's got its own. They got the Kumasi boys, which it's just it has its own culture.
Kumasi. Okay. Yeah.
Is a little north of Ghana, and then Cape Coast has a lot of culture, and it has like the Cape Coast slave castles,
Mm,
which I think is an amazing place. Lots of history, and you'll learn a lot just about the heritage of Ghana and that. But those three really, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Accra. Winneba is a great place also. It's a coastal, and it's just fun. There's a bunch of them. Kokorobite is a sleepy resort town that's got
okay.
some really cool culture and great beaches and really nice people. I mean, just so many places around that you can go and visit.
So get the full experience, how long is the trip?
I would say minimal 11. I would say, around 11 days, 13
Okay.
days.
Okay.
And the reason I'd say for that long is because you want to do things like make sure that you can, take an overnight trip to Cape Coast for the slave castles, go up to Kakum National Park and do the canopy tour. Go to Hans Cottage Motel, which is a crocodile sanctuary where you can like walk and like you can
What?
actually touch a live living crocodile.
What?
It's wild. It's wild. It's some real crazy stuff. But then um and then you'll go to Avery Garden, go see the woodworkers and go see the gardens there. You just want to give yourself an opportunity to kind of hit all the different spots and then build in a couple of days when you have absolutely nothing to do because you can party in Accra really hard, and we all grown and it takes us a couple of days to get back right.
You right.
So 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 that you build in. I mean, you could do it in 5 or 6 days, but you won't really, you'll be rushed and you'll come back exhausted afterwards. So 11,
Mm,
13 days is
okay.
usually about that time. But you trust me, build in some days for rest because, you can go out and you can hang out till 10 o'clock in the morning and then go to a brunch and party all the way till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
That's
it's
crazy.
nuts. It's nuts.
Wow. Amartey, it's been a pleasure, man. Like it's great to catch up with you, but it's been a pleasure. Just you're a wealth of knowledge. Number one, and like I said, you're doing I think the future of what Black American dreams look like. So
Mm,
thank you
thank
for
you.
sharing. Thank you for
Mm,
coming on and sharing and
good.
reconnecting with me. Time to life and time makes you lose touch, but we never
Hmm.
lose touch. We
Yeah,
just needed
you're right.
to have a convo or whatever again. So
Yeah.
how can people reach out, connect with you and learn more if they want to?
Yeah, so they can my social media is I'm on Instagram as Amartey, Amartei. I think I'm the only one there. You'll see me on there. Facebook, Amartey Amamu. You can and connect with me in any way that you can. I am happy to help facilitate anybody that wants to just speak more about what it is to move to Ghana, what it's like. And you always say, how do you connect with people there in order to do the things that you want to do? And I have the connections there too. So they can also send me an email at amarteiconsults at gmail.com. So it's AMARTEI CONSULTS and I can just point them in the right direction. I've created that email address because my personal email is just completely full of junk. So I had to do something so that people can actually get in touch with me and I won't lose it
Right.
lose it. But yeah, if I'm here to help anybody make their way to Ghana and figuring out how they can get back to the motherland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to help because I want people to experience it the way that I have.
Well, I will be on your list, so we will be talking for sure. But thank
Great,
you so much again,
thank you.
and I cannot wait to see everything flourish, and
Hmm.
hopefully I can be right there to celebrate with you and with your family. So again,
Great.
thank you so much, Amartey. And wraps another episode of the Grown and Greek podcast. Make sure you are subscribing, like, comment, share, tell everybody about the podcast. You can listen on all podcast platforms: Apple, Amazon, iHeart, and Spotify. Of course, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms and watch episodes just like this one on YouTube. And appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Oh, one quick shout out to my wife, Anna Snow Cones. Y'all look it up. We are Anna Snow
That
Cones
name.
is our snow cone business. We are getting off the ground and getting running. So if y'all ever get an opportunity to get to Ghana, come and see us at the shop. We're in Odoko. So
Where is it? Where is it?
Odoko in Ghana, it's
Okay.
in the area. It's called Odoko. If you ask a
Odoko.
Ghanaian, they'll know. Yeah.
Okay, Adoko. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I said that right, and you have to say it right when you get there,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah. I
you
don't think
can't
I
say it
said
the
right.
Southern way.
But honest snow cones, let us come and see us. We're on all social medias also on there too. So
Amen.
ANA snow cones.
You can support Grown and Greek by subscribing to the podcast, shopping our exclusive luxury accessory line, or purchasing books from the D9 Book Club by visiting our website at grownandgreekpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and share on social media at Grown and Greek Podcast. Thanks for watching.